is the most popular game in the United States, and it's definitely not the safest game to play. Every game there is a 4.1% chance that the player may suffer from an injury that keeps them out of the next game. And the injury that takes the most victims? Concussions. They occur at an average of once per 5.5 games, and there is a 10% chance in college students and a 20% chance in high school students to sustain a brain injury.
What is a concussion? Well, a concussion is a brain injury caused by a hit or blow to the head. It occurs when the brain is shaken around inside the skull with a lot of force. This usually happens after a collision, which can either be head-on or head to ground. Your brain is suspended in fluid within your skull and is easily shaken around. Similar to this egg in a container of water, shake it around too much, and it's damaged. Concussions damage the neurons in your brain, leading to symptoms like headache, dizziness, and trouble with concentration and memory, with the worst result being chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE for short. Although some concussions can be considered mild, in a sense that the player can stand up and walk off, some concussions knock the player out completely.
On December 16, 2021, Donald Parham Jr. sustained a serious concussion. The 25-year-old tight end of the LA Chargers could not get off the ground. In the game between the Chargers and the Chiefs, Parham attempted to come down with a touchdown to catch in the back of the end zone early in the first quarter.
Parham ran and lunged for the ball, catching it in midair. He shields the ball with one arm, which does not allow him to use both arms to land properly. Instead, without the proper stability, he falls on his back and his head comes down a split second later, hitting the turf and then bouncing off. He ends up rolling to his other side, with his arms locked in a position known as the fencing response, indicative of a brain injury.
Let's look at the statistics. Parham had a mass of 112.8 kilograms with his football equipment. The average speed of a football player is about 29 to 33 kilometers per hour. Parham presumably reached this speed within 4.68 seconds of running. Using the low end of the spectrum, this makes his acceleration 1.72 meters per second squared. By multiplying these, his mass and acceleration, it can be found that Parham hit the ground at a shocking 194.15 newtons of force. That's 20,000 gram force.
You may be wondering, what happened next? The team's medical staff placed Parham on a stretcher in order to immobilize his neck and back and removed him from the field. Parham was later diagnosed with a concussion and hospitalized at UCLA Harbor Medical Center for observation.
We talked to athletic trainer Megan McMahon to learn more about treatment of concussions.
So a few symptoms of concussions. The most common ones I'd say are headache, dizziness, nausea, fatigue, being more tired than usual, and the big one that we hear a lot of is just not feeling right. You just don't feel like yourself. You're in a fog. A lot of times you can't really explain it. It's just you feel off. It depends on who the patient is. People used to think that rest in a dark room, no noises, just sleeping was the best treatment for a concussion. Sleep is important, but it's also important to go about your day as normally as possible. So after concussion, we want to make sure that the athlete is asymptomatic. We don't want them to have any symptoms. And then legally they have to do a 6-step return to play protocol, which has to take at least 6 days. So the way that it works is you're asymptomatic for 24 hours. That would be step 1. Step 2 is a light aerobic exercise. So 24 hours later, you would want to increase the intensity of those exercises, add in some sport-specific exercises, get your heart rate up a little bit more. After that, you're going to do a non-contact practice. That goes good. 24 hours later, you're going to do a full practice, and then we're going to do the full game.
Although people thought that Donald wouldn't be able to play football again due to his paralyzed state as he was carried off the field, he persevered. After a day, he was able to move his fingers, and a few days later, he was beginning the 5-step concussion protocol. Nowadays, Donald Parham practices at the same frequency as the other players, and was recently put on injured reserve due to hamstring injury.
Oh God. Okay.
Okay, cool, that's it.